Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Akhand Mandala Karam, Vyaptam Yena Characharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Bowing down to all the sources of knowledge, all the sources of truth in all dimensions, in all forms. Very, very deep gratitude to all the great teachers in all traditions, in all dimensions. So, great. How is everyone? Kya hal hai?
Changa.
Changa. Great, great. Okay. So,
How are you, Sanjeevji?
wonderful, wonderful. Life is throwing multiple challenges simultaneously.
What happened?
No, so lots of things, lots of uh, my younger daughter's father-in-law passed away from COVID on Sunday, and in South Africa, he's a South African, but yeah, in South Africa, the vaccine levels are very low. The drive is small, and for uh, or I mean, even with vaccination, it could have happened, but he passed away. He was a chemical engineer like me, and it's a very interesting. So he's originally British, but moved to South Africa many years ago, and has been living there most of his life. But very happy-go-lucky, very very fun to be with. We traveled around Africa together for one trip, seeing all the wildlife, and he had his Range Rover in which he took us around and saw some amazing wildlife. But uh, uh, so the way how the irony of life and the irony of life, I just wanted to share one uh, aspect uh, of of my daughter, how they met and so on. So Brendan is of course Supriya's, my younger daughter's husband, and they met in Botswana in when Supriya was a volunteer for Peace Corps, working with the tribal children and all that. And Brendan is a bush pilot. So, but before we get into that, let's see, Purushottamji, glad to see you back after a somewhat long absence. Was we were all missing your
Yeah.
presence. So, um, yeah, we heard about the accident, and your brother apparently lost his life, which is a shame that these things happen. And
Lost his brother.
lost your brother. What did I say?
Father lost his wife.
Okay, brother. Okay, no, no. Yeah. So it's tough. How many siblings are you? Purushottamji. His
Stuck.
picture is frozen. Maybe his audio is frozen as well. Okay. Anyway, so maybe he can sign off and reconnect. But later on, as we were, uh, talking about when I first met Brendan, and he was sharing about his family and so on. So it turns out that Brendan's grandfather was was a part of the uh, Purushottam ji. So our condolences and our love and peace towards your brother. And I think his audio is still not connecting. Okay. Anyway, so when so it turns out, so this is my son-in-law's grandfather. My son-in-law is South African and British, uh, but his grandfather was a part of the British Army, posted in, of all places, Mumbai for a while. And uh, my father, so Supriya, my daughter's grandfather, so Brandon's grandfather was in the British Army, and Supriya's grandfather, which is my father, was part of the freedom struggle. So my dad used to participate in all the demonstrations and the flag hoisting and all the peace marches and so on, and all the activity that was part of the freedom struggle. So it's very ironic. I mean, and my father suffered from two bullet wounds during this freedom struggle, during the demonstrations. One bullet grazed his elbow and killed a little boy who was standing behind him, and another one lodged in his leg, but not very serious wounds. But the the bullets were, of course, fired by the British army people. And so in the Hindi film version of this story, uh, the bullet is fired by Brendan's grandfather, and the bullet wound is sustained by Supriya's grandfather. And of course, maybe 50 or 60 years later, their grandchildren meet in Africa, and in a sort of a way of uh, forgiveness and healing of wounds that happens at a genetic level. So all those that bitterness and enmity, and actually the grandfathers, in a battle against each other, ends up with their grandchildren not just making up but falling in love and getting married and having children together. So it's the irony of time and the irony of uh,
Please start Pelican.
how life reveals itself and how life moves. So anyway, one more little story about Botswana. So when I met Supriya and Brendan in Botswana, marriage is not very common, nor is it very popular. And one of the reasons, I mean, people live together and they have children and have babies and all that, but they don't, very often they don't get married. This is just the way it is in Botswana. And one of the reasons for this not having many marriages as in the other countries or Western countries or in India is that there is a tradition in Botswana which they have to follow, and the tradition is that the groom, if he wants to marry the woman, he has to give his future father-in-law a whole herd of cows. You have to give the father-in-law a herd of cows. So it's the opposite of dowry, jo chalta tha ya chalta bhi hai abhi bhi. But it's illegal, of course, thankfully. But it's the opposite. The the groom has to offer the father-in-law a whole herd of cows, and only then he can ask for the daughter's hand in marriage. So what the younger generation have done is they have just dropped, because the tradition was not going away. What the young generation has done is broken all tradition, and they don't even bother getting married. A lot of them, and uh, so. But the funny ending to this story is that when Brendan and Supriya visited India, visited us, and Brendan had already wanted to propose to Supriya. He brought with him 11 cows to Mumbai, okay, from Africa, to give to me as his future father-in-law. 11 cows. He brought them with him, but the cows were handmade and they were made of clay. So he brought such small, 1 dozen cows in different poses. He got them handmade by somebody, uh, handcrafted cows, uh, and presented them, and then proposed. And of course, as any, well, of course, he's from Botswana, nor Supriya is from Botswana, nor I am from Botswana. But as per the Botswanian tradition, I accepted the proposal, and the rest, as they say, is history. But that was a very funny twist to the whole story. But speaking of cows and bulls and ox, so I wanted to share with you one of the uh, traditional Zen. Zen, as everyone knows, the word Zen, everyone has heard of Zen meditation, Zen Buddhism, and Zen. The car is also there, Zen. But Zen, the word Zen comes actually from Chinese word Chan, and the word Chinese word Chan comes from the Sanskrit word Dhyan. So Dhyan or meditation is the source, and Zen is the Japanese uh, version of that word meditation. So Zen. So in the Zen tradition, uh, they wanted to. There is a set of paintings. There is a set of 10 paintings which form the core of this teaching of Zen meditation, and they describe the stages of enlightenment. At what stage you are, the typical journey that we undertake as in this life of realization and of enlightenment, awakening, and discovering our true nature, and so forth. So so let me just share my screen with you. I want to share these paintings, and there are 10 paintings, and what these paintings mean. So each painting represents a stage of enlightenment, how the journey of enlightenment begins and goes, and 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 we all have different. We are at different, maybe different points in our journey towards enlightenment. So you can see where you are, what stage of enlightenment you are at. Although it's not a fixed thing. there may be one day where you feel you are completely, open and understood everything, and you are in that state of Zen, enlightenment, Satori, they call it. And some days you feel like, oh my God, the world is falling apart. So it's not a fixed quantity, it's not a fixed stage, it's a very dynamic stage. You move from different stages and at different points in life. But the other thing is, before we even get into these different stages, the question is actually not whether you're enlightened or not. The question really is remembering, because enlightenment is you. You are in your true nature when all surface level thoughts, opinions, beliefs, identity is dropped, and you come to the core of who you are. You are that divine oneness. You are that. And all of you, in all forms, in all stages of your life, are fully awakened, enlightened beings. So the only question is whether you know it or not, and whether you remember it or not. It's not whether you are enlightened or not. Great. So let me share the screen. So there are 10 paintings, as I said. Everyone able to see the screen? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So in the Zen meditation technique, or these paintings, it's called the 10 Zen paintings of the ox. The ox, as you know, ox or bull, whatever you want to call it, is the male, is that energy of that powerful energy of the mind, and that is what is represented by an ox or a bull. So this first painting is this, is of what would you get out of this painting? What does it look like? What does it look like this person is doing?
I think in the first one, he's looking back. He's not
Right. He's
moving
looking
forward, he's
not
looking back.
right. So it's not actually back per se, but looking to the side, right? So yes, looking to the side. And so it represents looking, it represents searching, right? So this first painting is called Seeking the Ox, or Searching for the Ox. And what is the ox? In this painting, the ox represents fulfillment. It represents happiness, happiness in your work, in your relationships, and everything that you do. So in this stage, you are simply searching. You're looking for happiness. You want to find happiness. Whether you're working, you're playing, you are creating something, or whatever you're doing, everyone starts at this level. We are all looking for happiness, right? So let's go to the next one. Very similar to the first one, but what do you think has happened here? I mean,
running
right, it's not
running
so
for
much
the happiness.
Running for happiness. Yeah, very good. Good,
Running
good.
after happiness.
Running after happiness. Okay. Okay. Um,
He looks
okay.
like
What else?
as if he's bowing down. I don't know.
Yeah, he's looking down actually. He's looking down. And what he's looking and finding, and the painting again is not, the resolution is not high enough. But what he's finding are the tracks of the bull. He's found
Yeah.
the tracks. So finding the track of the bull is like understanding. So in the first one, you're still looking for happiness, looking, trying to find happiness in the outer world, in objects, in sights, in sounds, and in people, and in events, and so on. But finding the tracks is like the insight has come, the understanding has come. This is the first sign of this ox or the bull, is the tracks of the bull. And so he's found the tracks, and these tracks will eventually lead you to the bull. And the bull is happiness or mind or yourself or your true self, inner self, all those different things. And what is that track that he has found? The track that he has found is the insight that just like these tracks, the tracks are not permanent. The bull is there, but the tracks are a lot more transient than the bull. In other words, tracks in the sand, tracks in the mud, tracks on the path, they come and go. That and that the insight that everything comes and goes. The whole life comes and goes. All objects, all senses, all experiences are simply transient. They come and go, and that there is something deeper, something more lasting, something more permanent, or which is eternal, is sought. So in the first painting, he's looking for happiness in worldly pleasures outside. He's looking outside to find that pleasure. And here he's found that it's something transient, that this what he was looking for outside is transient. And and now he's looking deeper, searching deeper, not just looking at the worldly pleasures. So next painting, the third one, he gets a first glimpse of the ox. So this you can relate to your first insight, or your first time you got it, you understood something at a deep level, the aha moment of life, the aha moment of meditation. And uh, let me just do we okay, here we go. So this first glimpse of the ox, this is the refers to that first spiritual experience, your first time you're initiated, you meditate, or the first time you have that aha moment of awareness of oneness, awareness of beauty. Maybe it's you're out in nature and you just go, oh my god, this is really wonderful. And you have a near death experience or a kundalini awakening during meditation. this glimpse has an impact on you. It affects you, it inspires you, and it is your first time, and now you're excited about this journey, that, oh my god, what is this? What is this that I've been missing, and missing perhaps for many years or for many lifetimes, who knows? But that excitement, and now you start to prepare that, oh, now that I've seen this is what I've been really seeking. How can I prepare myself for it? And that, you know um, so it's important to view all of these paintings from, in a sense, they are a development, and they are sort of stages of enlightenment. But in this in when you will look back on these, it is not that you become enlightened. You are always enlightened, and you realize in hindsight that each stage was equally beautiful, equally powerful, equally wonderful. Like the preparation stage, right? A lot of sound coming from somewhere, please mute. um so, like, the preparation stage is just as beautiful. I know that, like, even today, when I was, getting ready to start the session, and we had the Zoom turned on, and we had the mic on, and we had the video on, but I was still not yet ready completely to begin. Then that silent preparatory stage of anticipation, of waiting, of seeing, hey, what are we going to do here? That stage is a very beautiful stage. I know that, like, I used to play a lot of cricket in my college days, and also in when I used to work for for many companies, playing cricket at the company corporate level. So with cricket as well as in tennis, there's a lot of preparation that happens. So for tennis, for example, I have a whole series of things that I have to get ready, from the tennis ball to the racket to my headbands, my wristband, my knee braces, my all my gear, my hat, my bandana, all that. There's like 12, 13, 14, 15 different things that I have to make sure is okay, because I know if I get on the court without one of those things being right, then I'm going to, not like it on the court. So, but my point is that sometimes the tennis game is a lot of fun. Sometimes it rains. Sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes I play well. Sometimes I don't play well. And I used to, either enjoy the game sometimes and not. But that preparatory stage was always beautiful. Regardless of what happens in the match, the stage of anticipation, that stage of preparation, it's all an open ended. It's not all things are possible. I may uh, anything can happen, and that anticipation of that preparation is very exciting and a lot of fun. So while we are looking at these as stages of enlightenment, it is not as if there is anything less about each stage. Each stage has its own beauty, has its own power, has its own experiences. And so no matter what stage we are at any point, it is always wonderful, it is always beautiful. This is simply to kind of get a uh, sort of a form or structure to the whole journey. So the bull is seen finally, and you've got a glimpse of it. And now look at the energy of this guy. He's really in hot pursuit of this ox. He wants to get a hold of this. He knows there's something here which he was missing all this time, and it is time to go and find it, grab it. And how much you want it, how badly, how how deep is your energy towards finding that. So that energy is represented by him running after this bull. And really how badly you want it is what is expressed here, and it's very important to achieve it, because you remember the story of uh, Vivekananda and his guru Ramakrishna, right? I'm sure many of you have heard this story about they were in a boat, and Vivekananda had been asking him, when will I see God the way you do? I want to see God. I want to see God. How will I see God? When will I see God? So, so the story goes that Sri Ramakrishna took Vivekananda's by his head and just pushed his head in under the water outside the boat, just pushed him under and held him there, and held him there for quite a significant amount of time. And he was struggling to breathe, and finally he released him, and he came out of the water. His face came out of the water, and he said, how badly did you want to breathe while you were under the water? And he said, oh, I was desperate. I was desperate. I was dying. There was nothing I would not do to get that next breath. So that I was completely desperately wanting to have that next breath. And so his guru says to him that when your desire for this truth, for this oneness, for this beauty, for this love, when your desire is as desperate as you were for that next breath, that is when you will achieve and find what you are seeking, when that desire is that strong. So aajkal, people seem to be pretty complacent. Uh, the desire itself is is half there, but yet there are, of course, many of us who are on this journey and have this energy to find the truth, to be the truth, to live the truth. So stage number 4. The stage number 4, so now there is a change in focus. In the first painting, the focus of life was finding happiness, looking everywhere in the forest, the fruits, the trees, all that was a focus. But now this ox has taken center stage and is the focus and the target of your quest. Your quest has reached a point where you want to um, catch this ox. So, and you begin to lose your attachment to material things, and many, you may change your profession, you may change your job, you may become uh, you know a teacher of meditation and definitely a student of meditation. And the spiritual journey is now a priority. Now catching the ox is you are 100% engaged in understanding and capturing this truth, this understanding, which is so elusive, so powerful, so attractive, and yet not easy to grasp, not easy to get. So next level is, let me see, are you able to see this one? Yeah. At the next level, you have not only caught the ox, but you have tamed the ox. The seeker becomes aware, you become aware that there is a watcher within us. You have understood that no matter what you do, no matter what you think, no matter what you're saying, no matter what you're uh, feeling, there is a presence. There is a continuous presence of awareness. There's a continuous presence of um, there's a continuous presence which is independent of thoughts, independent of feelings, independent of perceptions, independent of emotions. That there is a source for all of this, there's a context for all of this, there's a background in which all of this happens, and that background doesn't change. So when you understand that this background doesn't change, and that all all this stuff that is going on in your life is just transient flickers on a screen which simply vanish sooner or later, then that understanding and the establishment of that understanding is when the people and circumstances in your life no longer rule you. They no longer rule you, and you are in charge. So there's this phrase that that is popular in America, and which my kids once taught me a few years ago. That that when people are unnecessarily upset or causing disturbances in your life, and it's not justified, and it is unfair, and it is simply based on their own neurosis and their own issues and their problems, then a simple phrase they use is, not my monkeys, not my circus. So 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 if somebody is being belligerent, somebody is being weird, somebody is being mean, somebody is being and or being unreasonable, then this mantra is very useful. Not my monkeys, not my circus. So you let people, allow people to do their own thing on their way. You need not be involved, because you know um, that you are the source of all that there is, and that everything is transient, including that person and that event. But taking it one level further, even the things that are going on in your mind, the upheavals, the ups and downs, the anger that comes, the all the all the dance and drama that goes on in your life, ultimately you know that that is not my monkey, it's not my monkey, not my circus. That monkey can do whatever it wants. They call it also in Zen, it is called the monkey mind. This monkey can do whatever circus and drama that it wants. I am simply the background in which all is happening. And that is one easiest way of taming this monkey, this wildness, is to know that I am not that I don't have to get so caught up in it that my identity, my being or my beingness are impacted by whatever is happening in this circus. So you're simply the watcher, and you are the observer, the witness. The witness is awakened in this fifth stage, and that is the easiest way where this ox gets tamed. Wo, instead of this wild bull that is there in this fourth painting, and you can hardly touch the tail, it is so fast and so wild, and it rules you, it can throw you around. Instead of that, it simply becomes your follower, and it becomes your energy and your power to take wherever you want and use however you wish to. So clear. This is the 5 stages, and there are 5 more. So let's see. Uh, I think we'll take the next 5 in the next one, maybe on. Uh, but but in the meantime, just relate to these and see how each one of these stages is beautiful in its own way. And let's go to
Amika has asked a question.
any questions or comments
Amika
that.
has asked a question.
Oh, okay, I've not seen. Okay, let me see. Her video is off. Okay, and if she can unmute also. Okay. So why enlightened guru gets married even when they have achieved which stage of enlightenment?
Like
So
uh,
yeah, go ahead.
there are people who, when they achieve this, then they feel like they go into teachings, they go into, they leave their profession and they just follow this or many things. Yeah, honestly, even I wish I could just leave everything and just be meditating and be doing my yoga and satsang and kirtan, but I can't. So then I feel that how did they think of getting married? Like no one, like somebody who's enlightened will not think of it. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hmm. So so enlightenment is a state of being. It is not a state of doing. Enlightenment is a beingness, it's not a doingness. And they are two separate domains. So one does not follow or lead the other. I may be an enlightened football player, and I can be an enlightened criminal, and I can be an enlightened guru, and I can be an enlightened saint, and I can be an enlightened politician, and I can be an enlightened uh, married person, gruhast, right? So there, what is enlightenment? In to put it in simple terms, enlightenment is knowing and living from who you really are. That's all. Now, what you do, knowing and after knowing and living who you are, is entirely a separate, a separate flow, a separate journey. So um, so why does an enlightened person get married? To get married, I mean, to experience what that is, to do what that is. To get The unenlightened person gets married because they want to be happy. Somehow this marriage is going to make me happy, and that becomes, and this is true whether you talk about marriage or business. Why would someone like, let's say, you know I mean, I don't know specifics or any details, but why would somebody like Baba Ramdev have this huge enterprise? He's a he's a huge corporate entity today. um so if the purpose of that corporate entity or that marriage or that sport or whatever it is you're doing, is the purpose of that is to seek happiness, to find happiness, then that is the opposite of enlightenment. But if I understand and know that I am happiness itself, that I am not all these forms are simply games that I play, not to seek happiness but to express happiness, then then Sure. Then marriage also is simply another business to express emotions, to express feelings. Business can be the same thing, but so it's only whether the cart is before the horse is the only difference. But everything's cart and horse, and so if you are putting the marriage first as a condition of happiness, I will not be happy if I don't get married, then that is the unenlightened way of approaching this whole experience. But now that I'm enlightened and I know that I am the source and I am itself happiness, I am joy itself, and I wish to share that joy, express that joy, then marriage is just as wonderful a sort of platform in which to express that and to feel that and to give that and to receive that. So this last step is very important, and we'll come to it as we go through these Zen paintings next time. uh, because as you go through these and some of you may have seen these paintings already, but the expression of this understanding, the realization meaning making real, ये जो हमें सच पता लग रहा है उसका उसको सार्थक करना। सत्य सिर्फ सत्य है, लेकिन सार्थक सत्य, उसको सार्थक करने के लिए वाहन चाहिए, अपॉर्चुनिटीज चाहिए, द रियल वर्ल्ड चाहिए। So I don't know if you've seen that Gopal or Geeta episode, right? So in which
YouTube.
the yeah, on YouTube the question asked was ऐसा सब होता है तो आप तो स्थित प्रज्ञ होना चाहिए, आप इतना क्यों उछल कूद रहे हो, क्या हो रहा है ये? and and Geeta responds to that question with uh, स्थित प्रज्ञ होके तुम क्या उखाड़ लोगे? So unless that is expressed, unless it is felt, unless it is experienced, it's a loss. It's a we should have a FOMO of this. FOMO पता है ना सबको, fear of missing out. So that fear of missing out is important. So it's not out of fear that I'm just making it up, but I'm saying that unless you find a platform to experience, put into the real world, whatever your understanding is, ये net practice हो जाएगा. All meditation is net practice. All chanting is net practice. All sadhana is net practice. It is not the real match. So net practice पे ही रुक जाओगे? मुझे नेट प्रैक्टिस बहुत पसंद है, मैं नेट प्रैक्टिस ही करते रहूंगा जिंदगी भर, साधना करूंगा, एक गुफा में जाके बैठ जाऊंगा और मैं स्थित प्रज्ञ हो जाऊंगा, ये सब नेट प्रैक्टिस है। अब मैदान में तो आओ, तब पता चलेगा कि कहां तक आपका ये नेट प्रैक्टिस आगे पहुंचा है। मैदान में आओ, चौके छक्के लगाओ, आउट हो जाओ, बॉल लगने दो। मैरिज है तो मैरिज में भी बहुत सारी चैलेंजेस आएंगी, बिजनेस है तो उसमें भी चैलेंजेस आएंगी। तो आप मैदान में नहीं उतरोगे तब तक ये नेट प्रैक्टिस का कोई मतलब ही नहीं है। नेट प्रैक्टिस करके करके बोलेंगे मैं नेट प्रैक्टिस में बहुत अच्छा खिलाड़ी हूं, तो व्हाट, इट्स हाफ द स्टोरी। वेरी गुड, डू नेट प्रैक्टिस, नो डाउट, but you need to come out into the match, into the field, with children and with husband and spouses who want so many demands of so many things, and family which wants so many things, and the world which wants so many, and your body which needs so many things, and people who are making, and your business has so many demands. सो ये चैलेंजेस आते हैं, चैलेंजेस आ रहे हैं, और उनको लेकर how much are you established in lovingness? How much are you established in peacefulness? How much you are established in givingness? How much you are established in forgivingness? How much you are establishing in blessingness? Then, so that step is very important, and that step has to move simultaneous with your sadhana. Net practice match, net practice match, net practice match, and better net practice, stronger and stronger net practice. So more, whether meditation or music or yoga, kriya, whatever, all these are net practice. So we have to remember that this is all net practice. जब मैदान में उतरते हो तब ये तुम्हारा नेट प्रैक्टिस काम में आया कि नहीं, then you know where you are. Then you go back and say, अरे ये मिसिंग है यार, ये करना है. कि ये लेग स्पिन ऐसा आता है तो मैं कैच आउट हो जाता हूं. Then you go back to the net and keep on taking leg spin in the net, whether it's meditation or kriya or whatever, so that again you go in the Maidan. So like yesterday I got stuck on the road because my car broke down in the middle of hardly anything. And long story short, the whole experience of sitting there, it ended up being almost 4 hours I was waiting on the road for the tow truck to come. And and they kept saying, or adha ghanta, or adha ghanta, or adha ghanta. 4 hours I was sitting, and I had not had breakfast. I had not had, nothing. I just left the house, the car broke down. And looking back, I had a great time. I mean, when I came back, everyone was like, oh my God, 4 hours you're on the road. Now you must have gotten so impatient, so angry, so upset, so this, so that. And nothing. I mean, for 3 hours, I didn't even call anyone. I was just hanging out. I was in my car. I was just, looking around, enjoying the fact that I didn't have anything to eat, enjoying the fact that I missed taking some breakfast and missing water even, and and I was watching myself, watching my patients. How is it going? First 2 hours were completely blissful. And by the third hour, thoda sa I could notice that I'm getting little bit, like, Are, ye kya ho raha hai ye? And, and then finally I was calling my sister and others, कि हे विष्णु ये क्या क्या मजाक है, बस हो गया. 3.5 घंटे and there's no sign of this guy. And so it was a wonderful learning experience. And I knew that, okay, at the end of the day, even if it had gone for an hour or the day and the night, I would still be okay, because of what, all the net practice that we have done. But गाड़ी में जाते ही नहीं, बैठते ही नहीं, stuck ही नहीं होते तो क्या सीखने को मिलता, क्या मजा आता? So that is why. So, and this is the difference between the so-called old school or traditional practices of spiritualism and what we are talking about now. Is the full experience of enlightenment, is the fullness, the multi-dimensional aspect, not just vairagya but aishwarya along with it. So you take this vairagya and bringing it into life, bringing it into your interactions with your children, your husband. That is where the fun is. That's where the beauty is. When the tow truck guy finally came, I just joked with him, as he was an American guy. I said, I don't know whether I want to punch you or I want to hug you. But I just made a joke, but in my heart, I know that there was nothing about wanting to punch him at all. But I just thank you for showing up, even though you're 4 hours late. Thank you for showing up. I just wanted to give him a hug. So, so that's where the rubber meets the road. And without the rubber meeting the road, your car is only in the garage, shining and beautiful. Faida kya hai? Right? Beautiful. Great. Any other thoughts, questions, comments? We will take the next 5. Okay, chalo. No, so what I was saying was that that whole thing about uh, unless all this kriya, all this meditation, all this pranayam, all this stuff is net practice, and unless you take it to the field and usko azma ke dekho, that's when the real fun begins. That's when the adventure is. Without that, if you just keep net practicing, and make that your life and that your purpose, then you've missed the game. You've missed half the story. So net practice, the game going in parallel. Meditation, kriya, pranayam, all this stuff, and then seeing how it plays in law. Does it show up then? When you're doing your business, does it show up? And then going back and forth between the two. That's the whole name of the game. And that's the complete circle. So both are required. Aishwarya, Vairagya. Dono. Yeah, or like I said, it's like you keep polishing your car and cleaning your car and chak garage mein rakh ke kya matlab hai? Bring it out where the rubber meets the road. Then that's when you know what needs to be. And that's the fun of it. That how beautifully you can cruise down the roads and the highways of life on this journey. So uske bina half the story. Great. I'm third time. Take 3. Tang. अभी मैं बोल रहा हूँ या एक तोता बोल रहा है पता नहीं लग रहा. So but anyway, uh,
Sona's question.
yeah, knowing where you are in this paintings and what stage. Of course, nothing is fixed. One day you may be at one of the levels, one day you may be at the next level, and back and forth. But ultimately, who you are is enlightenment. Who you are is that knowing, all knowing. The only difference is whether you remember or you don't remember that you are enlightened, that you know or you don't know that you are enlightened. And even in this relative level of what stage you are at, nobody else can say anything because it's an inner knowledge, an inner understanding, an inner memory, an inner remembering. So for you, Sonal, like I was saying, stage 3 is definitely very much present a lot of the time. Or is that 4? No, it's stage 3, I think. The 4 mein hai wo, 4. Yeah, 4 mein where you see what you want and your like energy is all available to understand and capture. So whether it's this satsang or that satsang, you are very much there. The Leah 1 minute message and the change your pattern and open door and whatever else that comes along. Wonderful. So great. So Om. May all beings find happiness. May all beings find love. May all beings find joy. May all beings reach their highest potentials in life. And may all be fulfilled. May all have the opportunities to reach for their highest. Om Shanti Shanti
Shanti,
Shanti.
Shanti.
Hari Om Tat Sat.